What's going on, everyone? It's Alex back here with your weather forecast. So, as I promised, we promised you for a new video. And I will tell you, we've had some bizarre couple hours here tuning in. So, latest stuff with the winter storm warning. We got a state of emergency. Winter storm warning calls for 11 to 15 inches of snow expected here. But it also mentions mixed precipitation possible with sleet and freezing rain possible. And I'm saying to myself, we probably won't get interfered by that too much. Because we're going to talk about things in this video that are going to make more sense later. Why I just don't think there will be enough sleet or freezing rain to really interrupt those accumulations. I could be wrong, but I just have a feeling that it's going to be way too heavy. So, let's just take a look here at the HCPRS real quick, because this is going to be a really good indication of what's going to potentially happen for Sunday. Usually well-known models for really intense mesoscale banding, however, it is pretty accurate. So, when we get into 1 a.m. Sunday, we have snow overspreading the region from the Pennsylvania border up into, let's say, Maryland, into Delaware. We got this heavier axis of snow in Virginia. But watch how quickly that tries to change over to sleet. And that sleet and freezing rain run will really progress. And let's stop it here around 7 a.m. Light snow overspreading the Jersey area. We're getting a moderate burst of snow into Pennsylvania, into the Pittsburgh area. And then we got this really heavy snow into Western Virginia and to the Virginia area. But you notice that rain snow line is on the move, and that's been a constant trend. So for anyone wondering in Baltimore how much in snow you're going to get, I'd say 6 to 8 inches because of that icing line really progressing north. But again, you're going to get that very intense thump of snow on the onset. So you're still expecting some really significant snows. But I just expect this band right here, what we're seeing right there, is going to really start to explode once we get this into, let's say, the later morning hours. Look at this, 11, 12. Look at this explosive frontogenesis band. This will likely produce at least some sort of thunder snow threat right here. Just unbelievably heavy snowfall rates. This is on the order of 2 to 3 to maybe even isolated areas reaching up to 4 inches per hour across Camden, Philadelphia, all of central New Jersey, getting into Middlesex County, getting into the Bronx, not the Bronx, getting into the northern Philly suburbs, southern Philly suburbs, getting into Salem here, getting into Lancaster, getting into northern Maryland. Very impressive frontogenic band. We're going to talk about what that means in a minute. 1 p.m. Look at this heavy snow axis right here, centered dead across central New Jersey in the I-95 corridor. This could be dumping as much as 3 to 4 isolated pockets of 5 inches per hour. If this were to play out, thunder snow, significant snow rates, and even some lightning strikes embedded in this. This could be absolutely bizarre. And just for reference, this type of dark color is one of the heaviest you can see. That is indicative of 6 or 5 inches per hour across this area alone. And this ends at the model run here, but holy crap, it is coming down like crazy. So thunder snow may be a real threat in this type of setup, because these snowfall rates are just absolutely apocalyptic. What we're looking here on the HDPRS, and that's as far as it goes. But my God, if we take a look at the accumulations on a time, this only goes out to 1 p.m. Sunday. You already have 9 inches across Lancaster, near 9 inches in Philly, creeping up towards central New Jersey, 9 inches along the Jersey coast. And keep in mind, look how fast these snowfall rates grow. So this is 11 a.m., 12 a.m., and then that transition into 1 p.m. Boom! Right there, you add 4 additional inches right across there in central New Jersey. Extremely bizarre snowfall rates. And I think this area in general needs to be watched. I know there's a lot of sleet and mixing going on. But here's the thing. So we're going to have what you're going to call these deformation bands setting up. We're also going to have these sinking air where it's gonna, as I like to call it, when you have sinking air and lighter precip, that's when your warm nose could kick in. And we're gonna just take a look at a few other models of what we can demonstrate where we can see that clear warm nose potential. So I'm gonna take a look at the sounding of the R gem here. I think we may be able to see how this plays out. But this is for your 1 p.m. Incredibly heavy snow. 2 p.m. Incredibly heavy snow slamming the Jersey region. This, again, thunder snow screaming setup potential right there. 3 p.m. Again, this intense F gem band where we're going to show. Again, that's the area that I'm really watching. Very incredible rates out of this where you see the darker colors, and that's the indication of some rising convective elements of this. That's why you might be able to see a couple lightning flashes and rumbles of thunder in the snow, which would be absolutely incredible, but it's absolutely possible. Notice by 3 p.m. that sleet line starts to go into Philly. Now, here's the thing. I think this area here, Philly into Ocean County, yes, you could be seeing a significant icing event after 3 p.m. But this is where I'm starting to get a little skeptical. When we get into Middlesex County, getting into Flemington, getting into these areas, I have a feeling we're not going to be doing as much as the icing threat. Maybe a bit of sleet mixing in, 4 p.m., but again, you're struggling. I just have a feeling this area in general above southeastern Middlesex County, you're very, very likely to see very heavy snow continuing. Of course, yes, it's going to light up. And that's when your sleet line is going to try to take advantage. And then by 6 p.m., I think we're going to start to change over to sleet in a lot of areas. You see that precip lighting up, so that's when we start to see that transition to sleet here. Yeah, you start to see a bit more sleet overspreading. But again, once again, how we're saying, it's gonna struggle a little bit, but it does get in a bit more further once we get into the 8 p.m. So we're gonna have to watch how that ice line and the sleet line progresses. But again, that intense frontogenic band of snow coming in 12 to about 5 p.m. Holy crap, you're gonna see absolutely nuclear rates going off the roof. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's gonna be insane. Now, well, if you want to take a look at the soundings, well, okay, so the best model that I can demonstrate with this is the NAM. NAM might not necessarily be correct. Again, heavy snowfall rates, very heavy snowfall rates, 12 to 1. Not everywhere, but where you get it, it's going to be nuclear. Absolutely nuclear. Taking a look at one of these soundings here. Again, 21 degrees, plenty enough of cold, and you're just not struggling at all here. But you're going to notice what's going to happen here is you're going to have a bit of a warm nose here. That's going to be like right on your 0 degree line. It's going to be a little challenging for sleet for some, but I just have a feeling that this sleet line won't progress further than... Now, the NAM here goes a bit more ridiculous and gets it all the way up into almost Sussex County. And it does get that temperature profile up for that sleet. And it does have it above that 0 degree mark. But do I see this being as extreme as a NAM and ice storm for the whole entire Jersey area? Absolutely not. Because I just think the NAM is a bit too aggressive on that area, and that ice is a little too far north in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I just have a feeling it's not going to happen that way. And the reason why is your temperatures are going to start off really, really cold in the morning. And they might warm up into the mid 20s, maybe upper 20s even for the Philly area. The Philly area will be struggling a lot more ice. But I just have a feeling that anywhere above, let's say, southeastern Middlesex County, you're going to have no problem accumulating this. And I just have a feeling sleet is a little bit too aggressive. Even, let's see, let's see here on the RRFS. And the RRFS is a really good model. So we're going to take a look at that for a second here. Not the 21Z, but we are going to go to the 18Z here. And we're going to take a look at how much freezing rain could fall. Again, not too much, and I like the idea of that. Maybe at most a quarter of an inch for these areas. And I say at most, because I don't think this is going to be nearly as much. But just take a look at the curiosity of this system. Again, we're going to zoom in here to the Northeast specifically. So, getting into your, let's say Sunday afternoon, okay? This is going to be for your 10 a.m. Okay, this is like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Again, light snow. But you start to see it really starting to pick up for southern New Jersey and central New Jersey. It really starts to get into by 12, 1, 2, 3. Now look at that heavy snow. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's some bombing rates going on there. But you see that purple here? Now, I know you're like, oh, wow, that's a major ass ice storm going on there. But in reality, if we take a look at these composite reflectivities, look how heavy this is. I mean, this is just incredibly heavy by 3 p.m. And you're going to be saying to me, yo, why are we not, why are you saying we might be dealing with snow with this? Well, if we take a look at our soundings here, this will make a bit more sense here. So this is going to be your 0 degree line. And notice that the RFS is 25 degrees at the surface, 23 at dew point. Very saturated ground. I will notice. It's so saturated, everything's falling as snow. But you do get this bit of a, when you get over the 0 degree line right here, just a sludge tiny bit. But that's not a freezing rain signal, because it's not as much. So I could see this easily being heavy snow, because why? So think about it. When you have extremely heavy precip falling down, you think that it's sleet, but I'd say it's snow, because what happens when heavy precip falls down? When you have a summer thunderstorm, let's say, and you have 96 degrees on the thermometer, and you have a big thunderstorm shaft coming through your area directly, your temperatures plummet 10 to 15 degrees immediately. So you can kind of think of it as that. When you have these very heavy, ridiculous rates going on, it's going to try to pull down that cold air no matter what. And it's still going to try to put down it as heavy nuclear snow. And I'm not saying that sleet can't happen. I think sleet can happen. It's just when you don't dynamically cool as much, that's when you're going to get the sleet threat starting to build. But when you're having these nuclear bands happening like what you're seeing here on the RFS with that precip shield really looking like it's intensifying across New Jersey, I just have a feeling this is all going to be very heavy snow. But when we do get into that, let's say 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., 9 p.m., you see that noticeable light precip shield? That's what I'm going to start to, wonder. That's when you're going to start to get the sleet probably. But when you have this yellow and orange across New Jersey for 3 to 2 p.m., that's even a red. Come on. That's all heavy snow. That's all heavy snow because your cold air is being punched down by this heavy precip that's falling. So technically, in reality, you may switch over to a bit of sleet in the air, but it's going to just pummeled down as snow, and very heavy snow at that. This right here, that's indicative of 3+ inches per hour. And at the same time, when you have this rushing precip to the ground, what does that cause? Turbulence in the atmosphere. And that's why we could be talking about thundersnow, because of these incredibly heavy rates coming down. That's really just going to try to charge up something in between those snowflakes and clouds. You're going to try to produce a crack of thunder, a flash of lightning. It's absolutely on the table. And I'd say thunder snow chances, someone seeing thunder snow in New Jersey, I'd say it's a pretty good chance. At least one area will see thunder snow. Which area will it be though? I think it could be a little bit more widespread than just one. So we'll see how this pans out. Also, just being a little bit more curious on the lightning flash density, the RFS does have elevated areas of where flash density could be pretty interestingly noticeable. And by 4 p.m., we may have an area across Massachusetts and New Jersey where these flash rates may start to spike. That's when your thunder snow may start to increase. But this is a very interesting setup. From the NAM to the, let's say, HDPRS to the HRRR even, it looks a lot different with the timing here. 1 p.m. it looks entirely different on here than, let's say, the HDPRS, then the RGEM, then the NAM 3K. They're all over the place. So what does this tell me? Models have not locked in yet at all. And when we're not still going to look at these models locking in, this rain snow line may be, further south, further north. We don't know where it's going to set up. But I just have a feeling anywhere north of Middlesex County, you're doing very well with this storm. I think it's 12 to 18 inches for you. Anything south of it near Trenton, that could be like 10 to 15 inches. That's still a lot of snow. Anything below Philadelphia could be like 6 to 10. It's still 6 to 10. It's still really good. And even though the NAM shows a bit of rain after that, I don't necessarily agree with that because it's going to be just way too cold. Maybe across the coastal communities, but all the way up into here is a bit of a stretch, I'd say. So I think y'all are still going to be dealing with some very impressive snow. To Belmar? No way. That's not happening. It's just not happening. Last thing I want to take a look here is NWS snowfall forecast for Jersey. That's for Long Island. Let's take a look for New Jersey. Okay, so we did pull up the NWS event total snow accumulations. I say that's pretty impressive for New Jersey standards. But you do notice there are lower totals starting to show up near Philadelphia, Trenton, Toms River, Atlantic City, Wilmington. But you do have higher totals up here. That's what I'm saying. If you don't get that sleet, your snow totals are skyrocketing. If you do get a bit of sleet that won't mix in with a lot, it could cut down maybe an inch from your expected. But this area, I could be concerned about ice. And if we take a look at the ice graphic, this is really going to start to show. Because we're going to start to get a period of freezing rain and ice across parts of this area of New Jersey. I'm not sure so much about Morristown and Flemington and Middlesex County, New York City getting ice. But this area down here into Trenton and Philadelphia could get a significant ice storm. Is it crazy as much as an inch that some models were showing? Absolutely not. But I will say this area is starting to increase in ice totals and ice fall. So we could be it could be a little interesting in this area. And I could see these totals being cut down just a bit more in the Philadelphia area. But again, here there's a noticeable cutoff in between the ice. Maybe a couple hundredths of an inch rather than a whole entire quarter of an inch in Philadelphia. Philadelphia could be an interesting area. But yeah, 8 to 12 inches in ice accumulations, around 0.3 of an inch. That is a new update here across the National Weather Service. 0.3 of an inch of ice near Westchester and Cherry Hill, Morristown, yeah, all those areas down here in the Philly suburbs. So well, this is uptrending, but we will have to see if we get an ice storm watch or warning for those areas, because that could be pretty interesting. But heavy snow with mixed precipitation, 6 to 10 inches. Ice accumulation 1/10 of an inch. That's for southern Delaware and southern New Jersey. Now we get another winter storm warning. Heavy snow with mixed precipitation, 10 and 15 inches. 1/10 of an inch of ice, portions of New Jersey and southeast Pennsylvania, and that does include my county. And finally, we get another winter storm warning with heavy snow expected. Total snow accumulations between a foot and 18 inches, and ice accumulations around the light glaze. That's for portions of northern New Jersey and southeast Pennsylvania. So we have 4 different types of winter storm warnings, but the winter storm warnings for the south is more for ice and sleet combined. But here in central New Jersey and North Jersey, I think it's going to be purely snow. Yeah, of course, you could get some sleet pellets banging into your windows around that 6 to 8 p.m. time frame into the nighttime hours. Yes, it could happen, but anything above Trenton, I feel you're just not going to have that much ice to contend with. I just have a feeling you're going to have a lot more snow than anything. So, that's going to wrap up your update for today. I hope you like it. If you love snow, even if you haven't experienced thunderstorm in like decades, you have a chance for this one. So we're gonna be making another special update potentially tomorrow or even Saturday. No, wait, tomorrow is Saturday. We're probably gonna be making a special weather update for tomorrow in the evening, and then yeah, I'll see you guys later. And start getting ready for this monstrous snowfall coming your way. And get ready for the ice as well in southern New Jersey. You may want to get some spare fuel and power for your generators, because this could knock a lot of trees and power down. This could be pretty significant. So we'll keep an eye out on it, and I'll see you guys later.